What's going on, YouTube? So the Audi Q5 has long been Audi's best-selling model, and it's also one of the top-selling compact luxury SUVs in the US. But now it's time for the all-new Q5, which we are excited to be reviewing and driving today. So, is this new model with a new design, brand new interior, and lots of tech ready to take on the stiff competition? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, we want to start off this review by mentioning what is under the hood for a quick spec dump. So this is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 268 horsepower. That's going to be paired to the Quattro all-wheel drive system and a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, and our combined fuel economy this year is coming in at 25 mpg.
Now, the base price for the Q5 is $52,000 this year, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, like we said at the introduction, we are going to be taking this out for a drive in this all-new generation. While we're on that drive, we'll get things like our sound level reading as well.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood, because this Q5 is, of course, integrating Audi's latest design language both inside and out. So starting out with the front end design of this next generation Q5, you'll notice some pretty big changes for the Audi brand. Of course, they're more of an evolutionary brand in terms of the design language, but they have definitely softened up the overall look of this front end to be a little less harsh, a little more rounded, and in line with some of their other most recent SUVs like the Q4 and the Q6. Now up here in the front, you'll notice that we've got a gray finish on the grille. We also have the new Audi logo with the white rings. And then as we move over to our headlights, we have a brand new design as well. Of course, these are standard full LEDs. We have the digital matrix LEDs though, so that means that we have some additional features such as some customizability with the DRLs. And this is a projector low beam and a reflector high beam. Down below, you have a gray accent as well. Now, as we take a look at the back, just like with the front design, we're going to have a very clean and classy design for this back.
Yeah, and as far as some design elements, we are getting rid of that clamshell type of tailgate, so that's a pretty big distinction for this new generation. And as far as design touches, we have a spoiler up top, an exposed wiper, our newest Audi branding, and then our taillights are going to be full length all the way across the back. Of course, that's new for the Q5 and in line with the latest Audi products. As far as all the elements being LED, as expected, they are indeed. So you have your dynamic turn signal across the back and your brake light. You have your LED reverse light as well. And then because we have the fully loaded Prestige example, that is going to get us the OLED taillight. So this is an up-level unit. Now, as far as the lower fascia, this is going to be finished in silver as well as a little bit of mesh. I do really like that they're keeping the exhaust outlets here for the new generation, and your tow rating is 4,400 pounds.
Now, as far as your wheel options are concerned, you begin at 18-inch alloys and you can move up to 19 and 20-inch alloys. This is the optional 20-inch alloy here on our Prestige model. As you can see, it's got that very classic Audi design. Funnily enough, actually, over there in the background, there's a two-generation back Q5 with a very similar looking wheel design. Audi always has an option just like this because I guess owners really like it. By the way, I want to mention that as of now, they're not offering a black optic package on the Q5. You will be able to get that on the SQ5, but not on the Q5. Hopefully they'll add that later on so you can get some blacked out or high contrast alloys. Now, as far as our mirrors, they're fully loaded as standard equipment on all models. So that includes things such as auto dimming, blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now, at the side of the all-new Q5, our overall vehicle length is 185.7 inches, which is up about 1.5 inches over the previous generation model. Now, as far as some design touches, all of our window surrounds are finished in a silver, as well as our raised roof rails up here at the top. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, Audi is including 2 out of 4 active safety features as standard equipment. Additionally, as you move up the trim structure, aka the Premium Plus and above, that will add additional features such as adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist. But guys, there is a very radical and tech-filled cabin inside that I can't wait to show you. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now let's check out the interior. First, of course, we'll look at the key fob. We've got the newest Audi key fob, pretty simple design on board, standard smart entry, of course. And then to get inside the vehicle, just reach behind the handle, that will unlock the door. Now, welcome inside the next generation Q5's interior. As you can see, radical departure in terms of the design and technology from the previous generation. But before we dig into all of those details, let's begin with our seats. So one of the nice things about Audis, and this continues with the next generation, is that you have standard real leather on all Q5s. So as you can see, we've got the black color. You can also get a beige or a brown interior with nice color contrast stitching. Good bolsters as well. And as far as the seat adjustments, we have 12 ways of power adjustment, including 4-way lumbar support. We have a manual thigh extension included as standard equipment as well. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that you cannot get massage right now on the Q5. You would have to get the SQ5, which is a little disappointing because you can now get the massage feature on the Volkswagen Tiguan. Nevertheless, you do also have memory seats, and those are located right over here on the door trim. Let's go ahead and climb on inside. Now, shutting up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Beginning over here on our door trim, of course, you've got the leather material across the armrest as well as all through this center section. They use a soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is finished in a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. And then in the center section here, you're going to notice generous use of a real wood trim. So as you can see, it's got nice graining, feels very nice, and goes all the way across that center section. And then finally, as we end, down here you have a little bit of padding for your knees to rest against, and then the center section will be finished in the piano black. But let's fire it up with the push button start. It's now located right here. And of course, as you can see, once everything fires up, we've got a lot of technology on board. Let's jump right in with the gauge cluster. So this is our new 11.9-inch virtual cockpit system. Obviously, that is going to be reconfigurable in a few different ways. You can kind of give it a minimalist design, or you can give it that design, and you can customize information on both sides. But it does not appear there's a way to put a map in there. Nevertheless, if you get the Premium Plus or above, that's going to give you the head-up display, which has a lot of additional information inside. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a brand new Audi design. This is a kind of two-spoke arrangement where you've got the bottom here that is left blank, and you've got the touch capacitive buttons. Now, one of the buttons you'll find is the heated steering wheel button. That is a standard feature on this new Q5, and you also have standard power adjustment. Pretty nice, and standard rain sensing wipers. Speaking of the stalks, I'm going to signal. One of the things I want to demonstrate is this kind of light bar that runs across all through the top of the dashboard. This does interact with various vehicle features that you'll come across. So for example, when you turn a signal to the right or the left, it'll give you that indication up there. And it does have a lot of ambient lighting inside of this interior as well. So you can kind of customize different pieces, such as this part that kind of traces around the shifter area. And there's a lot of different customizable features with that. Now, in terms of our storage, let's jump right into that. This was an area where the Q5 in the previous generation was kind of weaker than the competition, and they have improved this a lot. So this center console, when loaded down with donuts, because we like to do the signature donut test at Car Confections to check the volume, can now fit 8 donuts. That is a nice improvement. It's pretty good for the class as well. This is adjustable as typical with the Audi brand. And then you got your 2 cup holders right there. We have a new wireless phone charging pad, which is much larger, and now it's no longer inside of that console there. It's standard feature, and then you've got your 2 USB connections. As far as the shifter, you have a very small, low-profile shifter. Just press back for drive. You can go back again to activate the sport mode. We also have paddle shifters on the steering wheel as well. When we go into reverse, this is where you're going to see the 360-degree camera system pop up if you choose the Premium Plus or above. As you can see, it's got that ability to kind of turn with the steering wheel. You can also click in there, right there, and kind of switch between a few of your different views to see all types of different angles. And then just press the P right there for park. And the next place I want to go to is the volume knob. So we've got the 755 watt 19 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, and we'll go to sample right now. Yeah, overall, definitely a nice sounding sound system, just like in past Audi products. Really fills up the cabin nicely. All right, so next up, we of course have our big old display right here. And down at the bottom of this new display is where you adjust your climate controls. So this has a standard 3-zone automatic climate system. Obviously, you adjust your temperature with these buttons right through here. Additional functions are located right there, and this is where you can actually go in and make adjustments for both the front and the back passengers as well. Furthermore, we have standard heated seats on all versions of this Q5. Ventilated seats are on this Prestige trim level. And one also interesting thing is that when you adjust the temperature up and down, that actually does change the ambient lighting over here in the door trim. Now, let's talk about the screen itself. So this is a little over 14 inches in size, and it does, of course, have a new system for the Audi brand. It's kind of based on Android, so that means that it's going to run a little bit smoother than what you had in your last generation Q5. It also still has, of course, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities. Right now, we're in the Android Auto system. I can tap there to show you what the actual system itself looks like. Here's Audi's built-in navigation system as well. Now, one of the interesting things about this is for the very first time in the Q5, you have a third display. That's over here on the right-hand side. Your passenger display is included here on the Prestige trim level. First of all, we've got a little kind of screensaver up. If you tap into there, you can get to some functionalities. This just basically gives the passenger more or less redundant controls from this display, which is definitely angled more towards the driver now. So inside of here, you can control media. You have some access to some entertainment things as well. And then, of course, you can just kind of mess with this a little bit. The driver is not going to be able to see this while they're driving, obviously, as a safety thing. Up top, you've got your auto-dimming mirror with your HomeLink remotes built into the bottom of it and a compass. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for the panoramic sunroof. This is a very large piece of glass. The front panel does open up, and this is included as a standard feature on the Premium Plus trim and above.
And let's talk about the all-new Q5's rear seat. So this vehicle is about 1.5 inches longer than the previous generation. So how does that affect your rear seat room? Well, it is going to be very similar to the outgoing model, which is not a bad thing. So we're sitting at about 38 inches of legroom, 37 inches of headroom. So those are pretty decent figures for this segment. It's not going to be the biggest option, but also certainly not the smallest. Now, one of the reasons we bring along the official Car Confections ruler is so we can see how much knee room we have. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and I'm 5'9" for reference. And we are sitting at about 7.5 inches of knee room. Those are pretty good figures, and my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seat. Now, these seats themselves do recline just a little bit, not a ton, but they do recline a little bit, and they also slide forward and back, so that's pretty much I think it might be the only vehicle in this segment that has a sliding second row. That's an interesting feature to have. And then if we fold down the armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside. We're not done yet with features, though, because Audi's including 2 USB-C ports. Our rear vents are located right here, and then we do have our own zone of climate here on this model. Prestige will additionally add heated back seats, although ventilated back seats are not available. And just be aware, there is a really big center tunnel here for the middle passenger. Now, over on the door trim, if you choose the Prestige, you're additionally going to get the rear window sunshades as well. That's quite nice. The door trim is pretty nicely done. Some soft touch plastic, some leatherette going through the door trim portion, and we also do have quite a bit of door storage. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a hands-free power one as expected. And let's go ahead and talk about the overall cargo capacity. Now, I'm happy to tell you for this new Q5, we are looking at slightly more cargo capacity. It's up about a couple cubic feet over the previous generation, 28 cubic feet behind the second row of seats, and 57 cubic feet with those seats folded down. Now, those are quite good figures for this segment. And by the way, if you are curious as to how this Q5 might compare to the numerous luxury compact SUVs you might be looking at, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've gone through all the options in this segment, and we've ranked them in individual categories that might matter more or less to you, such as cargo capacity, interior technology, powertrain choices, luxury features and amenities, as well as resale and reliability. So if you want to make an informed buying decision in this segment, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, as far as this cargo area, we do have a 40-20-40 split folding second row of seats, so that's nice that you have the ability to do the middle seat independent. We also have handles here in the back, and that's going to allow you to fold those seats down, although for whatever reason it doesn't look like they completely folded flat, so I will have to go up there and push them down. And now that I've got those seats folded down, it's a Car Confections review after all, so let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we are sitting at 73 inches of length. From behind the second row of seats, 38 inches of length. 45 inches wide, so even despite not having the clamshell tailgate design, it's actually still pretty wide. And then as far as the opening, we are looking at 28 inches of height, actually. And then let's also look at the cargo load-in height. Just in the standard configuration, we are sitting at about 29.5 inches of height. However, we do have buttons here to actually raise and lower the air suspension. As you can see, the vehicle is lowering down right now. That is a standard feature. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's standard on the Q5 Prestige. And then that's going to lower the vehicle to, wow, as low as 27 inches for your load-in. Now, as far as other features, if we lift up the cargo floor, you'll find a ton of space underneath of here. I don't think they have an official rating for this, but that's probably at least 3 to 5 cubic feet of underfloor storage. No spare tire, though. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new Q5. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot. As you can see on the screen right now, we'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right. And that was 60 miles an hour with this next generation of the Q5. So like we were talking about with the spec dump, what's under the hood is not a radical change from the previous generation. It's really Audi's signature engine. It's their 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is going to be making now 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, which is up about 7 horsepower over the previous generation.
Yeah, and overall, you could see based on that acceleration, we've always been a fan of really Volkswagen Group's 2-liter turbo 4-cylinders. They're very quick, and even for a base motor, I think the vast majority of people will be very pleasantly surprised at how fast this model is. Now,
yeah, the Germans, they're really good with Some might say underrating their power figures because these are very quick vehicles. 0 to 60, we don't have like a Audi estimated figure just yet, but I would say it's under 6 seconds. This is a quick...
It's a good estimate. We do actually have it. 5.8.
Oh, okay.
5.8 seconds is what you're sitting at for the 0 to 60 on this model. Yeah, definitely quite quick. Now, if this is not good enough for you, they will continue to offer the SQ5, and that's going to have a 3-liter turbo V6, 362 horsepower on that one, 406 pound-feet of torque, so that's up about 13 horsepower compared to the SQ5 before. And speaking of, comparing it to the previous generation, there's a couple things worth noting. There's no mild hybridization going on here, so that's a little bit of an interesting thing with this new Q5, is that the standard powertrain does not have a mild hybrid or anything along that regard.
In the US.
In the US, at least. They do have it overseas, but for whatever reason, they did not bring it to the US market, so I guess if you don't like hybrids, that might be a good thing for you.
This is a very quiet and refined engine as well. And let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, which is a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. Again, that is the same as it was in the previous generation. Audi and Volkswagen Group uses this transmission in a lot of applications, and for a dual-clutch, it's very, very smooth. I think most people won't even realize it is a dual-clutch, but you also get the, extra snappy shifts if you're using the paddle shifters. Speaking of extra snappy, as we kind of go around this corner here, let's talk a little bit about the athletic ability of this model. Of course, the SQ5 is where you're really going to unlock the real performance of this model. This is a very comfort-focused vehicle, but when you choose the Prestige trim, you get an adaptive air suspension, so that's pretty rare for this segment of vehicle, and because of that, you can kind of stiffen up the chassis for sport driving like we're doing right now in dynamic mode, or you can go into comfort mode for ultimate comfortable ride. But overall, it's decent for sure. It definitely has that German athleticism. The steering firms up nicely as well in this drive mode. And then we'll go into comfort. Let's talk about the more important element, which is the ride quality.
Yeah, so as you can see, the vehicle is actually raising up right now, so it lowered itself down a little bit for the sporty dynamic mode. And then when we go into the comfort mode, the ride quality is pretty good. I have to say, for a vehicle with an air suspension, I was kind of expecting it to be maybe a little bit more different than it is. Between the different drive modes, you really can't feel too big of a difference, which is a little bit interesting. But overall, like Drew said, the comfort mode, this is a very comfort-oriented model. So I think on the daily, you will be, very much enjoying the vehicle's ride quality because it does do a good job. I just don't think it's maybe as profound as a difference as you might have expected to have a full air suspension compared to just the adaptive dampers that you'll get on the other versions.
Right, that is one good thing about this model, is that you have standard adaptive dampers even if you choose the base trim, so you still get some variability in the ride quality versus sporty kind of trade-off no matter what. Now, like we were mentioning, they did make the decision not to bring the mild hybrid from other markets, including Europe, which is a little bit interesting because a lot of Audis in the US do have the mild hybrid system. Because of that, you don't have the advanced auto start-stop system. You have kind of the lesser advanced version. But what that does is kind of smooth it out. So this is a little rougher, actually, on the auto start-stop system than the other Audi products.
Yeah, especially when paired with the dual-clutch transmission, it kind of lurches a little bit upon that initial startup. So I think you will notice that. Now, let's also quickly talk about fuel economy as well. So we do actually get the same fuel economy as last year. So 22, 30, 25 is what you're sitting at as far as the fuel economy is concerned. Those are going to be decent figures for the segment, although it's certainly not class leading by any stretch of the imagination. Now, the new X3 has really moved forward the needle when it comes to fuel economy, and this certainly is not going to be the class leader, that's to say the least. Now, the SQ5 is going to be 22 mpg combined. 53 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading. Of course, we had to get that with this all-new Q5. And, you know, Audi is promising that this was a very quiet cabin, because even on the Prestige, you're going to get a couple additional things for this model, including acoustic front glass to really make this very quiet cabin. That 53 decibel rating definitely shows that off. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the other luxury compact SUVs, though, because we can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And 53 decibels does indeed place this as, well, it would be the third quietest model in this luxury compact segment. It's behind the GLC and it's behind the BMW X3, but it is actually quieter than the previous generation that we tested out. So, really good sound level reading. All right, and let's also get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite and least favorite element about the all-new Q5. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
The Slam Dunk is going to be the interior. I think obviously a lot of people who are going to buy this new Q5 probably already had a Q5, and this is a big step up from the previous generation. They really modernized the interior with a lot of the tech that you're going to want. It's not overwhelming or anything either, I don't feel like. So overall it works quite nicely. They also kind of added some good luxury versus the previous generation, and it's really a good functional interior.
Yeah, and more storage than your previous
exactly.
Audi products. Now, on the flip side with the Airball, what we're going to say is we wish they had done maybe just a little bit more for this all-new generation. We did wait a really, really long time to get this all-new Q5 out, and it's not too radical of a redesign. They did also raise the price quite significantly, which we'll talk about in the pricing section. And most specifically, one of the things that bothers us is the mild hybrid deletion for this new model. It's very interesting, that decision, because not only does it make your auto start stop a lot better, it would probably increase your fuel economy. So I'm really not sure why they didn't think that was fit for the US market. So let's go ahead and talk pricing. So the Q5, as I said at the very beginning of this video, starts at $52,000 for the base premium trim level. Most models will be a Premium Plus or Prestige. If you choose that, that's of course going to elevate your price quite significantly. Now you'll notice that this particular model, the Prestige package, is $8,400. After we add a couple more options plus destination, we're sitting at $64,250. That does represent several $1,000s of a price increase for this Q5 as compared to the previous generation model. And by the way, I do want to point something out. So you'll notice on the window sticker, it says all new 2025 Q5. The reason for that is because this vehicle was actually supposed to be a 2026 model year vehicle when it launched, but due to the tariff situation that's currently going on, Audi just went ahead and decided to release it as a 2025 model and get some of these models into the US for customers to buy. And I also do want to point out that there are, 2025 models, but they're going to be the previous generation as well. So you can currently have two 2025 Audi Q5s being sold, one the previous generation and one this all-new generation. And by the way, if you are looking to buy an Audi Q5 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that connects you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. We even have a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to take advantage of that, we have a link to that in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First off, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Audi Q5's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 40.5% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 14.4%. Now, it's worth noting those are definitely lower than average resale value percentages. It's even going to be a little bit lower than brands such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Genesis.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources of reliability studies and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Audi is rated below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability information, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, Audi's signature warranty applies here. It's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranty. They do not do complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our review of the all-new Audi Q5. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.